everyone, this is Mrs. G. I am going to use this video to give you a little refresher on negative numbers. We're going to go through adding, subtracting, and then multiplying and dividing. So there's a big orange line down the center because in your mind you really have to keep these separate. Okay, don't put your procedure for adding and subtracting in place when you're multiplying and dividing. That will result in some wrong answers. But luckily they fit into these two different groups, and if it makes sense and you can visualize it, I'm sure it'll be fine. But these are easy to forget, so let me just remind you. We might as well just get started with the adding and then subtracting. Okay, so we'll start here. Basically, in this situation, you want to use the number line, and you want to visualize sliding to the right if you're adding and sliding to the left if you're subtracting. So let me show you what that works. If you're going to do something like -8 plus 10, okay, that's our first problem. There's physical number lines in the classroom if you want to use those, or you can just kind of count this off in your mind, doesn't really matter. But you're going to start with your finger, quote unquote, on the number 8. And you're going to move 10 spaces to the right. You can count them one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so therefore your answer is going to be a +2. Okay, we move to the right when we're adding. As you get good at this, you will kind of maybe be able to make not just a jump every single number. And remember, we're counting the jumps, not the lines. We're counting the jumps. Not like these lines there. No. Okay, adding and subtracting is movement. So some of you might say, oh, well, if I'm at -8, it's going to take me 8 spaces to get back to 0. And if I'm trying to move 10, I'll need to go 2 spaces over. So this is what we're going to get in the hang of as we get into 8th grade and wanting to be able to do these a little more quickly. So +2, -8 plus 10 is +2. Let's keep going through these and run some examples. The next one is -2 minus 5. Okay, -2 minus 5. You're starting with your finger on -2, and you're counting 5 spaces to the left now because you're getting less large, you're getting smaller. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, -7. Okay, and if you're already at -2 and you want to move 5 more spaces, you might remember that you have to be at -7. Essentially, you could do 2 plus 5 to understand that you have to be at -7. But you're still on the negative side of the number line, which is why we have a negative sign on our answer. Okay, -7 minus 9, +7 minus 9. So now you're over here starting, put your finger on +7, move 9 spaces to the left because you're subtracting. Okay, I'm going to hopefully start to be a little quicker with this. So it's going to take me 7 spaces to get back to 0. How many more do I need to do to move a total of 9 spaces? 2 more. So that one is -2. Okay, now we're getting into things that look a little bit, I don't know, quote unquote, messy. I call these double signs. Don't freak out, there's a poster on the wall. But subtracting a negative, what is going on there? The brackets in this next problem do not mean multiply. We also use our brackets to kind of separate things for our eyes, to make little separations in our problem. So this says -2 minus -7. Don't jump to your number line right away. First of all, make that problem look a lot cleaner and a little nicer. To minus a negative number is the same as to add. Okay, Ms. Carlson used to use a parachute. If you take off weight, you're going to get bigger. So write this again. -2 plus 7 is a much nicer way to write that problem, and it's the exact same question. So now let's go about actually doing the problem. And you're at -2, and you're going to add 7. So you're going to need 2 spaces to get back to 0. So you're going to end at +5. +5. You don't need the plus sign. Sometimes I put it in just to remind myself that it's there. But +5 for that one. And then last but not least, 3 plus -6. Again, 3 plus -6. That looks a little bit messy. I want to get rid of a plus negative. To add something negative in my life, you might say, is the same as to subtract. So that's 3 minus 6. Your finger is starting at +3, and you're going to move 6 spaces to the left. Okay, you're going to count 6 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is going to be -3. Okay, -3. So you always want to ask yourself, in my answer, which side of the number line will I end up at, and how many spaces do I going to need to count? Hopefully we're getting to the point where we're kind of doing this mentally, but if you need a physical number line, that's totally fine as well. Okay, so separate that in your mind to multiplying and dividing. Multiplying and dividing is a different thing. I call this, or the trick I have is the love and hate method. Okay, the love and hate method, you're thinking of your negative signs as haters, you're thinking of your positive signs as lovers. And if you look at some of the things I've written out here, you don't need to copy this chart down unless you really want to, but I would suggest you don't need to because you've done this before. So a positive number times a negative number means out loud, as you look at the problem, you're going to say, oh, that's a love to hate. If you love to hate, you're a hater, and you have a negative answer. Okay, your answer is going to be a negative number. If you times a negative by a positive, now you're going to say, oh, I hate to love. I hate to love, so I'm a hater, so my answer is negative. If you multiply a negative number by another negative number, well, now you hate to hate. And if you hate to hate, it means deep down you're actually a lover. Okay, so those are positive numbers in their answers. Let's see how it plays out since the problems. I think it'll make a lot more sense. The actual multiplication and division of the numbers themselves is exactly like you've done before. Okay, so 8 times 7. 8 times 7 is the same thing you've always done before, 56. But ask yourself, wait a second, I have a hater and a lover. If I hate to love, if I hate to love, hater, negative 56 for negative 8 times 7. Okay, so the first one, the answer is negative 56. These brackets here now do mean multiplication. Okay, a number just kind of smush next to a bracket, or even a variable for that matter, means multiply. Okay, so 5 times negative 2. If you love to hate, if you love to hate, if you love to hate, you're a hater. So negative sign on your answer, and 10, because 5 times 2 is 10. All right, the next one, negative 1 times negative 1. I went with a funny one there. If you hate to hate, if you hate to hate, hate to hate means love. Sometimes I put a little plus sign just to remind myself I've done that. My answer needs to be positive. 1 times 1 is, I'll get that wrong, positive 1. There's a positive 1 for that one. The next question is here. Trying to remind you guys that that fraction sign also means to divide. Negative 15 divided by 3. Guess what? We're using the exact same method when we divide as we did to multiply. So negative divided by a positive. Negative divided by a positive. If you hate to love, negative divided by positive. If you hate to love, you're a hater. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay. And then negative 8 divided by negative 2. Well, where are you here? You're a hate to hate. If you hate to hate, if you hate to hate, you're a lover. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so that is your little refresher on negative numbers. There are some posters on the wall to remind you, but hopefully that clarifies everything. Let me know if you have any questions.